The views, opinions, and pages shared by UWealth Revolution and guests are not intended or implied to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment.
Hello and welcome, everyone. It's Darius Barazandeh, and today we are going to be diving into mastering the oneness mindset. And we're going to take the big leap, the 5D leap into oneness consciousness and the mindset of oneness. And we've got two amazing guests, actually three, because we're going to be bringing forward some energy, some collective energy, some extraterrestrial energy, and some wisdom energy of some ascended beings through our amazing guests, SomRa and Jaraan. And if you've had maybe a feeling like you're not sure of your path, you're going back and forth between different ideas, methodologies, possibilities, ways of healing, and you feel like you're just getting a little confused with it all, the energies I believe that are going to come in today are going to be those so connected to oneness as we begin to open up this doorway that you're going to feel better. You're going to get your own wisdom perhaps coming in, and you're going to rise. You're going to rise to a level of oneness. And we're going to talk about the keys to spiritual awakening and ascension. We're going to talk about how to actually get out of that polarity-based thinking and move into oneness-based thinking. I know for me, like, I look at things in the world, and if you're anything like me, you tend to get like one-sided or see things in one way and worry or start to think, my gosh, what's coming next? Instead of looking at it from a oneness-based perspective. Now, once you tap in today to one of the things we're going to do, it's going to be called a cosmic heart attunement, and our guests today are going to share that. You're going to be in this oneness space, and you're going to be lifting yourself into this 5D awareness. And when you do, I believe you're going to be on your first step to mastering this awareness. And we're going to show you how to actually make your life harmonious, graceful, peaceful, optimistic, and love-based so that you can actually love your life experience. And our guest today is going to come from two beautiful earthbound beings. We're also going to be bringing in Chokai, which is another amazing collective being we're going to learn all about. But our first guest is SomRa, and SomRa is an ET walk-in, a spiritual awakening teacher, facilitator, a visual artist, and a sound channel working in the fields of energy psychology, healing, personal growth, psychospirituality, and the arts. And since 1989, she has literally been professionally teaching and facilitating individuals and groups using a unified approach of therapeutic techniques, education, and metaphysical insights. SomRa has authored and taught several courses on energy healing, spiritual development, self-help, and her professional training includes emotional freedom techniques, EFT, matrix reprogramming, bilateral stimulation, cranial sacral therapy, soma emotional release, etheric healing, Reiki, vibrational aromatherapy, and a lot more. And she's also researched the long-term effects of trauma, spiritual development, and done facilitator trainings with ET Ascended Masters and more. Now, in 2019, she retired from bodywork therapy and hands-on energy work for 30 years in the field, having experience of the discovery and recovery of her own extensive childhood abuse and release of trauma of every kind. And she's going to be helping us today and sharing. She's amazing. She's done work on me, and you're going to feel this vibration in a big way. Our second guest is Jaraan Onai. He's a natural teacher, facilitator, energy work practitioner, author, abuse recovery advocate, and a certified peer support specialist with over 35 years of personal consciousness development experience. He was actually abandoned at birth, enduring almost every childhood trauma there is a name for. And Jaraan's awakening began with a walk-in experience in 1988 after a 10-year bout of alcoholism and near suicide. From that point, he felt compelled to take a deep dive into understanding and resolving the mysteries of the heart. From that point, he felt compelled to go deeper and understand how these core traumas could impede our growth, healing, and how we awaken into our true essence. And from this, he became an exceptional channel and transformational facilitator, and he's been a channel for ET Ascended Masters and Angels since 1994. And he's been working in this area of oneness, mastery, oneness-based teachings. And he says, I know that no matter how challenging it gets, there are treasures to be found both in the world and within our own exquisite hearts. It's my mission to help sincere seekers, path makers, light workers find the quickest and easiest, most fulfilling means to manifest their bountiful treasures. Now, Jaraan and SomRa assist sincere, self-responsible truth seekers, star seeds, and healers and light workers, and they are going to be bringing forward some very interesting energetics from a collective of ET masters, ascended beings, and angels that are going to come through them. And we're going to be learning more about this in just a moment. Now, I want to share a couple things really quick from some people that have worked with them, and I'll be sharing my story as well. One person, Lumina, said, SomRa and Jaraan are teachers par excellence. Every class felt like a smooth lake just glide across the other side, and you'll have more skill, more understanding, and much more confidence. Wendy said, these teachings gave me the tools to bring my spiritual life and my physical life into balance and into the oneness that they are. Each class and workshop deepens my understanding and perhaps remembrance of my own truth and how to bring it more in line with my daily life. So we're going to dive in today. Send in your questions, send in whatever it is that you are wondering about, or maybe that you need help with today. We want to love you, serve you, and move you into the highest light. SomRa and Jaraan, welcome. Welcome to Youth Revolution.
Hi, Darius. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, so glad to be here. Thank you so much.
Well, we're super excited. I mean, it's been a while since I've done an interview with two people, and it's going to be super exciting because we're going to be able to get some different perspectives, and we're going to be able to give people a lot of beautiful love and energy today. For people that may be wondering a little bit about what you do and this idea of a channel and bringing in some higher dimensional energies, perspectives, and even beings, explain a little bit about that, and then I want to get into each of your spiritual journeys.
Okay. Do you want me to start, Jaraan?
Yeah, you might as well, and I'll follow.
Yeah, you shared so much, Darius. It's like, oh, that sounds so cool. I want that. Yeah. Like, right. So, yeah. When I get into my story a little bit, it'll make more sense. But I've always kind of been tapped into, higher presences around us, and aware that I never went completely asleep when I came to this world, and so it was kind of like, okay, a new world's about to happen. Let's get on with it, yay! And then of course life happened, and there was a lot more to it than what the first awareness that I had was. But that tapping in and bringing forth these higher presences, it's so amazing. The ET Ascended Masters and Angels that we work with, particularly just talking about the Masters, for instance, they come from a perspective that's never been influenced by Earth, that's never been influenced by Earth religions or philosophies or traditions or any of that. And while those are valid, and a lot of people are teaching from that place, there's unique qualities that come through us that I haven't found anywhere. And as soon as I began awakening to that more and more in my path, and after Jaraan and I met, of course, and the channeling through him, it was like, oh, I'm home. I'm home, and I'm bringing home here. A lot of people are wanting to go out, and they think Ascension is go somewhere, but it's here. Bring it here. That's why we're here. So, Jaraan, I don't know what you want to share. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, I could go on and on. For me, the whole thing with channeling, especially when I first started, because I had been on my own recovery path from alcoholism for several years, and a mentor I had at the time just kind of jokingly, when I told her thought I was feeling ghosts and stuff, she goes, "Why don't you talk to them?" And I didn't realize what a significant question that was. I thought, well, yeah, why don't I? And so I found the book Opening to Channel and followed the directions and opened up, and it was as natural as breathing for me. And so I didn't realize at the time that was actually meant to be a part of my life path. I didn't even actually realize that I was walking at that point. For me, it's a profound experience, because whenever the masters and angels come in, I'm a conscious channel, so I'm aware of what's going on, but it's like being in a dream state in a way. It's a very heightened kind of radiant state of being that I'm in. And it's beautiful to feel their presence. It's beautiful to feel their connection with others, and to watch how, as they're sharing with people, because they love to do Q&A with people. And I don't know, I think that's like the Socratic method or whatever. They'll ask questions
Yeah.
that lead people to their own realizations. And it's so cool to get to those ahas. And it's just a really meaningful experience all the way around. Not only for me, but for the students that they share with.
I love that. Yeah. Let's get into your stories, because you mentioned that this channel, this information that comes through, it's never been influenced by humanity, its religions, its dogmas. That's fascinating. And I think this is going to give people just a real taste of oneness, a real pure frequency of oneness, which I'm very excited about. So SomRa, you first, like, how did your journey begin? How did all of this start opening up for you?
Well, I was part of what we now call first wave indigos. So those were born between like 1946 and 1969, 70, somewhere around there. And we were very different than the ones you hear about today. We were the buck the system kind of. It's like, this is BS and this world is so behind and all that kind of stuff. We came in kind of awake. And of course, I'm a walk-in, so that was a different soul. But my human consciousness matrix, it was very much in resonance with that. And so I lived kind of a resistant path in a way in the early years, just kind of digging my heels on a lot of things, and also was kind of like never fully fell asleep. So it was like I was an adult in a child's body. And it was very frustrating because nobody paid attention or gave validity to what children had to say in my realm. And, among other things that I found out later, things that got buried, unpleasant things that got buried in my consciousness, and that the child mind just kind of keeps going with life. And so when something difficult happens, it doesn't know what to do with it, just buries it in the background, keeps going. And so as I continued, I did have some fun explorations in metaphysics. I was always into metaphysical things. I had my first walk-in after birth. I actually had a walk-in in the womb, but after birth was around 9 years old. And after that, I began exploring. That soul that came in was all about metaphysical things and music as well. But I was doing studies in telekinesis and levitation and hypnosis and things like that. A friend had said, "Oh, hey, I learned how to do this hypnosis." And I'm like, "Oh, show me." And as soon as I learned it, I was hypnotizing all my friends, and I just didn't have the tools. Like, how can we really use this to help people? Right. Then it was more an exploration. So I was always kind of in that metaphysical arena, parapsychology kind of stuff, except for ghosts. I wasn't into ghosts at all. And then, but because of the things that I was burying in the back of my consciousness, or what we think of as the unconscious, that I just wasn't consciously aware of trying to do day-to-day life, I was developing a negative attitude, and certainly into my teens was very pessimistic, you might say, in a lot of ways. There was still hope in my heart, but it was always like, but it's not going to work out kind of attitude, and life is a struggle and all of that. And I didn't really know where those beliefs were coming from. It just seemed to be how it was until much later, when I began my healing journey. And around the time of the harmonic convergence that happened in the mid-1980s, that was a big wave, a catalyst of awakening for many people, and I was a part of that wave. And that's when almost suddenly, a lot changed for me. I began exploring metaphysical stuff in a spiritual way. Spirituality, I'd never really been quite on a spiritual journey with it all before. I'd always wondered, but not really explored it. And it was like my heart was opening up, and I was seeing, like, you can create your own reality, or we create our own reality, those kind of ideas. And if you change your thinking, you change, your world, and everything happens for a reason, those kinds of beliefs. And it gave purpose to my life where it was feeling adrift at that point. And now I had this optimistic direction. I changed everything. I changed my style, my hairstyle, my clothing, my friend choices, my food choices. I mean, a whole massive change, and was literally a different person in so many ways, and over a course of about a year. And I found out much later that was a walk-in experience. That's classic walk-in, right? Didn't know what that was.
Can you share real quick, SomRa, for people that may not understand what a walk-in is, a little bit about that? Because there may be folks that they've heard the term, but they don't fully understand it, or they have certain beliefs about it. What is a walk-in?
So a walk-in is when a person experiences a soul their original soul leaves the body. It's like, it's okay, I'm complete with what I'm doing for this life, and the body can either die, or another soul can come in and go, hey, I'll pick up where you left off, and I can use this consciousness matrix and continue my evolutionary journey, as well as support, the evolution of humanity when we're talking about Earth. And so sometimes it's a soul aspect. It's a different aspect of the same soul that gets a little bit technical. But generally speaking, that's when a soul changes out. It's totally agreed upon. Some people go through a dramatic change, like a car accident or a coma or something. None of mine have been that way. All of mine have been quite joyous and peaceful transitions. And so I wasn't suicidal or any of that stuff that a lot of people talk about. Sometimes that's the case, but no, it was a really beautiful transition for me.
Can I ask, while we're talking with you, SomRa, you are a channel for something called the Trigalian Sound Masters and Orchestron. Explain that really quick, and then we're gonna talk to Jaraan about his experience and his channel. But since we're on you, tell us about what your channel, because you do sound work and you've done it with me. It's unbelievable what comes out of your vocals, out of your human form. I mean, it's otherworldly. It's gorgeous. Tell us about that really quick.
Okay. Not long after that awakening in the mid 80s, I soon began, like, I want to share this with the world. A lot of us are in the beginning, and then you find out some people aren't interested. But those who are, I started developing classes and things like that, sharing these perspectives, and was soon on a healer path, energy work path, and body work was a part of that. And I was exposed to sound, like through tuning forks, and someone else did something called toning, a psychic that I went to see once. I was like, that's very curious. And I had a cassette where I was listening to that. I had a roommate at the time, and I would just start making sound tones along with it. And these were people who were channeling ETs as well back then, and ET Ascended Masters. And there's a difference, by the way. We channel ET Ascended Masters, not ETs. That's something very different. So anyway, then as I was making these sounds, my roommate, she said, you sound just as great as they do. She said, I'm feeling like these energy shifts from the sounds coming through you. I'm like, that's curious. And it wasn't long after that, before I was involved in different channeling groups and things like that as a participant, that I said, these sounds are coming through. Would y'all be okay if I channel them throughout our meetings as they come through? And they were like, sure. And people were having these profound changes. Like, they'd come in with a headache, and this tone would come through, and it would be like, boom, the headache was gone. And so I'm like, I think this is an integral part of my path. And because I had this music background and was a singer, my voice was primed for this. And it wasn't long before, I incorporated a drum and things like that too, that I began doing groups. And it started quite humorously, because I was at some retreat and I was drumming over someone and toning, who was laying on the floor. And it was during a break. And people started lining up and laying down in a line beside her. And before I know it, I had a string of people who were like, me too, me too. And I was doing this over each person, and people were having all these shifts, and so it was born, there it began.
Wow. Jaraan, thanks for waiting patiently. I want to hear a little bit about your story and what you bring forward as well, which is different, and together it becomes quite an amazing multidimensional experience.
Yeah. So, well, whenever when I first started channeling, I had no idea that I'd ever channel for anybody else. It was all for me, right? Of course, in my history, it was pretty unsophisticated. Like you said, I've been through an awful lot of abuse, and a lot of that was me just trying to survive that. And yet, I find it interesting that because of that, I was motivated down certain tracks that I might not have explored. For example, I read Helping Yourself with Self-Hypnosis and the Primer of Freudian Psychology in like the 7th grade. Because I was like, we got to find some answers, and I ain't getting it where I'm at. So,
yes.
And so it primed me, it motivated me to explore and look for answers wherever I could find them, not having any idea at the time that I could find them within, although that hypnosis is kind of cool. But as I, grew up, and it just became, I carried an awful lot of anger. when I was younger, and it was so painful. And I didn't understand at the time that whenever I was, active in my alcoholism, that it wasn't so much about the alcoholism. It was about I was trying to compensate for all that pain that I'd suppressed. And it's fascinating to me how thoroughly a psyche can suppress just horrific pain. But I understand now that that's the only way it can function a lot of times, is to suppress it, is to wall that off. But whenever I got into recovery, I was making all these discoveries and realizations. I was really connecting with my higher self, which I call my higher power in that context. I went through AA and I found it very meaningful. And so through that process, I was having all these realizations, and there was having all these weird experiences. I started spontaneously writing poetry. And it's like, oh, wow, maybe I'm supposed to be a writer someday. And I thought, well, hey, I would move to because I grew up in Texas, and I moved to North Carolina. I thought this will be my writing debut, not realizing that Spirit had other plans, completely different plans. And so as I was preparing to move, one night I was reading a book out loud, and my voice went through 4 distinct changes, different from my own voice. And I've been practicing channeling off and on then for a couple of years, just getting guidance for myself, insights and stuff. And, when I went through those 4 changes, it's like, okay, somebody wants to talk.
Yeah.
And the gist was, it's about time for you to do what you came here to do. We'll be in touch. And within a couple of months,
you're like, what is
North
that?
Carolina. And it's like, okay, sounds good to me. What do I know? And man, I did not have any idea. I've joked a couple of times and said, had I known what I was in for, I might not have actually learned to channel in the first place. But it's challenging from the standpoint, especially back then. Of course, they were gentle with me, but the guides and masters, their energy was so much higher than mine. And it was like just compelling a clearing. If you could imagine having like a 5-gallon bucket full of dirt and you start putting water in it. At first, it's just this turbulent, muddy mess, but you keep putting enough water in it and it eventually clears it out. And so it's kind of what it was like for me. And so once I moved, I even tried to channel for a friend of mine in Texas. He was spiritual, psychic, see the guide, everything. I could not get my throat to open up. After I moved here, it's like everybody I met, it's like, oh, here we go. And I finally went to an actual channeling practice group. And I was so self-conscious because it's like, here's this weird sounding voice with this weird accent coming out of my mouth. What are people going to think? And, but I finally just said, screw it, whatever.
Yeah.
And bang, they opened up, and I haven't stopped since. The beautiful thing to me at this journey, especially with them, is not only are they helping me learn and grow, but they're helping others in the process. And of course, that's one of their mastery attitudes, is effectiveness, which is accomplishing the most for the least.
Yes.
Least amount of effort. And so they're really good at that. And it was amazing to me how when they would share with people, and sometimes they would be talking about stuff I had no idea. There was a woman that, and this was early on, and like, I'm naive as I'll get out, but I would have like conversations with the masters in my head at night, and then the next day, meet up with somebody or whatever. And there was this one woman that I believe it was Chokai, or it might have been the group. They were all a collective at that point. And just like I heard in my head the night before, he said, do you remember the kite? And her jaw dropped. And I'm going, what's the significance of a kite? And I'm thinking, okay, there's this more metaphor, right? Turns out that she broke the height record for kite flying, but for some reason it didn't get recorded. It's like the string or something. They couldn't get it recorded, but it surprised me that he was talking about that with her, and it surprised her that he knew about it. And I don't know where else to go from here. It's like, it just kept building and building and building from there. And I've been so grateful to share with so many people. And like there was a person up in New England who had got home late from work and didn't have her questions ready, because that's an important thing, having questions prepared so that you're really present with what's important to you.
Right.
And the master that spoke with her, he said, don't worry about it. We'll just talk and see what happens. It'll probably be fine. And in the course of that conversation, he reminded her of every question she had and answered it. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Wow. Now, to be clear, generally you channel different beings or one primarily? And if there is one that's going to come forward today, tell us about that being that wants to come forward today.
Yeah, definitely be Chokai. I channel several different beings. I do channel an angel collective, Clarion, the angel collective. But for the most part, all the ET masters I channel, they come through individually. On rare occasions, they might double up or group up, but generally it's individually that they'll come through. And Chokai, he's like the granddaddy of us all.
Yeah.
Because he ascended was it 401,000 years ago? Ascended from the Pleiades 401,000 years ago. So he's the old timer of the bunch, and really cool.
Exciting. I think we're going to get to hear from Chokai today. For those wondering about what makes ET Ascended Masters different, unique, or special, what would y'all say?
Jaraan, I can take that if you want.
Yeah, go ahead. I mean, I can say something to it, but go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of things, and of course, one of them is the not being influenced by Earth. They're also extremely ancient. 401,000 years ago, most of us can't even wrap our heads around that, right? We think about Jesus ascended 2,000 years ago. Wow, that's a long time. But 401,000 years ago, the Earth was in a very different place back then. The people were very, very different back then. And he ascended from the Pleiades, which of course is a whole different realm as well. But there are similar themes in polarity no matter what planet you're on. And we focus on that, what we bring through, what they experienced, even though it's a different world, a different time, there's still common fundamental issues, common fundamental limitations and beliefs when you're in a polarity context that you must evolve out of. You must evolve through and out of in order to return, so to speak, to a oneness consciousness, 5D and beyond. So those are some of the things. Also, our work is very it's not knowledge based. You don't have to know a lot of stuff in order to ascend, because this collective that we are channeling, they're like the big collective as well, in the millions. Right. But then there's a smaller collective that we're particularly associated with. But they originally came together from an experience of having ascended, found their way through it, whatever world they were on, and met up in these higher realms. And it's like, oh, how did you do it? How did you do it? How did you do it? And they basically took common themes that they found amongst all of them of how they evolved from polarity to oneness and formulated a body of teachings that's based on those common universal principles, you might say, and perspectives. And those are the things we focus on and bring through. They did it. They did it. So we're not teaching theory. We're not bringing through, this is a neat idea. These beings are saying, we did it and here's how we did it. And we'd love to assist you in easing your journey as well.
I love that. Jaraan, anything you want to add?
Yeah, just quickly. I love the fact that they are so lighthearted and so casual. And, interacting with them is in a lot of ways like interacting with your best friend, except they're like ultra wise, and they bring such this incredible presence of love and acceptance and understanding and compassion into the environment, whether it's a group or an individual session. And to me, it's almost too casual to take serious sometimes, but that's part of their playful nature, and I think sometimes mischievous nature, because they'll throw out and people who participated in groups for any length of time know to look for it. They'll drop these little hints, these just little casual comments that are designed to encourage you to dig deeper into your own consciousness, to contemplate and go, say, how does that fit for me, and that sort of thing. But the lightheartedness is, to me, is one of the top tier attributes that they bring with them.
Yeah, I agree. I'll share a little bit later about my journey and some of the time we spent, but it does feel very much like they want you to find the answer, and they lead you right there. And then all of a sudden you have this awareness and you realize like the answer's been there. But in doing that, you raise your level of consciousness and mastery at the same time. Like you get your answer, but you also get the growth, and it accelerates you, but you don't miss the learning and the self-realization that you would have gotten had you done it all by yourself. So it's very loving, but also very beneficial and wise at the same time. And I think we are going to open up a little in a moment and maybe bring Chokai in. But I wanted to ask both of you have a really extensive background in different areas like psychology, psychospirituality, trauma recovery work. How did you integrate this, or how does this get integrated into the channeling work?
I'll share. So as I was continuing to assist people, my clients over the years, like people would come for body work and the same issue might be there over and over and over again. You know, I'm doing all the right techniques, but I was also very focused on consciousness. The body is just an outpicturing of consciousness to me. It was never about fixing anything physical or healing the body. It's about correcting misconceptions in consciousness, basically, or conflicts within the consciousness, because that's what's underlying pain and in health issues and circumstantial issues in life. But having come in originally with this, like, yay, we're here to, you know, the world's going to be transformed into this beautiful place, and it's not happening. Year after year after year, decade after decade, it's like, what's going on? What's holding back the light workers? The original plan was a big awakening around the year 2000, and it's like,
Oh, really?
what? Yeah,
Okay.
that was the original. There's always plan B, plan C, plan D, and but it's like, what's holding them back? And then 2012 is the next marker, you know, and it's still not happening on a big scale. And I'm constantly was always working on what's that missing piece? What is it? And so I finally found that it was basically unconscious trauma. I see so many people in spiritual circles, they keep trying to manifest. They keep using the tools and the techniques, and a lot of those are great out there, but they're often working on the conscious mind, which is very, very tiny compared to the unconscious mind, which is full of all kinds of misconceptions, beliefs, misunderstandings, emotions, and identities that are not who we are, but we're conditioned to be. And you're trying to change it in this little tiny spectrum of what you know of, what you're aware of. So there needed to be a way to bring awareness, more awareness to that unconscious, right? And that's where I picked up EFT. I had been already working with the ET Ascended Masters techniques, healing work, stuff like that. We had great success. And I was finding a lot of the world, you know, just isn't open to that yet. And actually, Jaraan and I took a little bit of a hiatus for a while as we kind of got the message, humanity's not ready for these teachings just yet. And we discovered we had to do our own work. And so we discovered we had our own buried trauma that we needed to bring forward and heal. And it was quite extensive. And I'm someone with a tremendously excellent memory. It blew everybody away that in my life that I had all this unremembered stuff. But as soon as those pockets began to open and bring that forward and heal, it's like, this is what oneness is about within the consciousness. It's unification. We cannot ascend and leave this buried stuff behind. It's like it's directly diametrically opposed. Awakening is about awakening to all of you, your human self, as well as your divine self, and bringing that all together in unification. And poof, you know, ascension's happening. So that's an integral part. And so these ET Ascended Masters as well, they address those things too in our work with them about trauma.
Wow. What I want to do to make sure we have enough time to hear from Chokai and some of the other beautiful energetics going to come in. Jaraan, can we begin maybe to open up? I know you may do a bit of a centering meditation to bring Chokai in, and SomRa, you may be bringing in some energy as well. And then we can hopefully get to some questions, get to some people's needs, and really start to experience more and more of this beautiful energy.
Sure. Yeah, we can do that. I'm just, if people are ready, we'll dive right into I usually do a brief kind of centering meditation, kind of get everybody in the same bubble. And then I think SomRa's going to do some sound work, and then Chokai can come in and address the group. He'll introduce himself and take it from there. Should we start with questions? I'll just ask that right now to make sure, instead of, because a lot of times they'll do a little message before taking questions. But
No, I mean, whatever feels right. I'll let y'all open the doorway here, and then we'll see what comes in.
cool.
Okay, and while Jaraan, he's going to lead a little bit of meditation. Then while he's bringing in Chokai, I will be bringing in some tones. And I didn't really get to mention the Trigalian Sound Masters. They're of a group around 300 to 400 beings, mostly ET Ascended Masters and angels. And Orchestron is a group of angels as well. They're around 35. And so they'll be bringing in whatever tones need to come through, but I'm going to keep it low key because we'll be in a meditative state. This isn't a full example of a full transformational sound where I get really boisterous and all that kind of thing, breaking up blocks and stuff like that. But we invite people, as Jaraan's leading the meditation and as the tones come through, to just continually relax and let them flow through you. The sounds are not about hearing, they're about feeling and letting them flow through your field. Okay?
Cool. All right. Welcome, everybody. Just to bring your attention to your heart chakra, I'm going to breathe into that space. Invite your body to relax as you breathe. And as you continue to breathe and relax, envision a radiant golden light within the heart chakra, representing the purest essence of divine love, your own soul's presence. See and feel that light expand with every inhale. Completely filling and surrounding your body in its radiance. If you brought any questions with you today or have any intentions for which you'd like support in this circle, we welcome you to hold those in your heart just a moment. And let them go, knowing they've been acted upon by a very loving universe, and that your response is forthcoming in the manner most appropriate. Feel your gratitude for that response and for the ability to call it forth with grace and ease. And just breathe in that gratitude a few moments. Indeed. Well, hello, 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 glorious beings. It is Chokai. We're delighted to share with you today.
Welcome. Welcome, Chokai. Thank you for being here.
Certainly, dear one. It's a delight to see you again.
So I've done interviews with lots of different beings. You're perhaps the oldest that I've ever done. So I wanted to ask a question I'm seeing a lot in the chat
Sure.
about ascension and humanity's awakening. Where are we on this path timeline? Any updates, any information that might be useful for our audience and people all over planet Earth today?
Indeed. Well, we find those prediction things a little tricky, right? Uh, where humanity is generally, it's interesting to watch how it bounces back and forth. And sometimes it's like you're right on the cusp, and then you get swept back down, and you're right on the cusp. It's just like the tide coming in and going out a lot of times, right? And so what it looks like at the moment, of course, this is likely to change as soon as we say something, but anyway, where we see it at the moment is that, there is this progressive um, increase, and we look at it from the standpoint of people who are waking up, who are becoming conscious of who they are as souls, who they are as masterful beings. And they can look like a lot of different things, like, okay, I'm tapping more into the love that I am, or I'm choosing to be more kind, caring, and compassionate toward others, or I'm really determined to get over this addiction, or whatever the case might be, or face that trauma. And collectively, humanity is actually moving along at a fairly decent pace. Of course, from our perspective, awakening, ascension, really stepping into 5D, that is an individual process that has collective impact, as it were. Okay. And so when you ask that question, where are we? The question I would want to come back to is, well, where are you? Where are you individually? How, in a way to gauge it, it's like, am I more at peace today than yesterday? Am I more in joy today than yesterday? Am I more loving today than yesterday? Because that's really your gauge, right? And that's the gauge that matters, because collectively, humanity is going to do what it's going to do in this grand experiment, and it is an experiment. Uh, a lot of people are very concerned, just like, well, what if I don't make it, or what if I miss the boat, so to speak? Well, everybody's in their own boat, so you can't really miss the boat, right? It's just a matter of choosing whether or not it's like, all right, am I going to choose in alignment with my soul source presence? Am I going to tap into that cosmic heart within me? Or am I going to let my ego stuff run the show? All that negative conditioning
Mm,
or misunderstandings, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it's always a choice. And you have a moment to moment choice, always. Even if you don't know what
mm.
the choices are, at least know that you have one, right? And then things progress from there. It's beautiful what we are watching happen. And even though it does flip flop back and forth a lot, we don't take that too seriously, because it's just like maybe you see those graphs on the stock market, right? Where he's got this really jagged line, but it keeps going up. Well, it's kind of what it looks like in terms
Yes.
of human consciousness. It's just, and sometimes it looks like it's going to dip down a little bit, but it starts building right back up. And see, that's a necessary part of the process. I know a lot of times people think, well, it's supposed to be just a straight angle up, right? But when you think about it, humanity is not unified collectively as the human race, but neither are individuals unified, right? And so what happens is that whenever you are on your awakening path, you're going to grow to a certain point, but then you have to pause. And then sometimes you have to reach back down and collect more aspects of your own consciousness and bring them into the light love of your being. And then you
Mm,
progress. And then you hit another plateau or a resting spot. And then it might seem like you're going backwards, but what you're really doing is reaching down to collect more of those aspects and unify them and bring them into the light love of your soul presence. And it's the way the process works. And it's actually quite beautiful to watch from our perspective, even though it may seem rather harrowing from the earth human perspective.
wow, thank you. For people that are here, what are some of the biggest impediments that you see to spiritual awakening?
a couple of things stand out. One is when there is like doubt, and doubt is not necessarily a bad thing, but when doubt becomes obsessive, then that gets in the way. And, you know, a lot of people have self-doubt, as it were, and it's perfectly normal if you want to think of it in those terms. And yet that doubt can lead to a lack of trust in the presence of source, your higher self, soul, whatever word you like to use there. Okay. And it's practicing that trust. You know, there are stages in the journey, and, you know, it goes from doubt to hope to faith to trust, right? And so from doubt, it's helpful because you can use that as a discernment tool. It's like, okay, I'm not sure if this is right for me, if this is working, so let me double check, let me dig a little deeper. But what happens sometimes is people will doubt and then they will just shut down because, like, I don't know, so I'm just stopping. Or they won't know and then they'll react to that and then it'll stop even more. But it's like when you get past that doubt, it's like, okay, now I can step into hope. There is this possibility. I'm willing to consider the possibility that maybe I can do this or I can get there. And that's with respect to whatever it is you aspire to experience. And then the faith takes it a little further in bringing more heart into it. And then that trust takes it even further. It's like, okay, I'm really starting to tap into that unlimitedness of my being. And I'm already connecting and having a relationship with that unlimited beingness of me. And I've seen evidence of its activity on my behalf because the universe is on your side. And so it's embracing that concept, really embodying the idea that, okay, the universe really is on my side. And so all is well. It may not look well, but all is well. And the more you step into that trust, the more you relax and surrender and open up, which then allows even more for divine consciousness to flow in you and through you to create those ideal experiences for your evolution. And when I say ideal experiences, I don't mean stuff to process. I mean, well, it might mean that, but it mostly means tapping into that joy, that peace, that love that is a natural and innate part of your beingness. And when that's paving your path, your success is inevitable. You simply can't miss from that point. So the doubt is one thing. Another thing that stands out is that there are times when the human ego, it's like really focused on survival mode, right? You know, and some people might refer to the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? And you got your food, your air, your dwelling, your money, all that kind of stuff. And those things are important in this version of reality. And they're not the only thing that's important. And so what I would love to encourage of people, if you find yourself in that space, it's like, well, like, how am I going to pay the bills, or what am I going to do about this relationship, or, you know, whatever that physical 3D need may be. Those are valid needs and you want to validate them as such. But remember that you have a very wise, powerful, loving soul that's happy to use that distress or that struggle or any other opportunity to show you what it's capable of. Instead of relying on ego resources, it's like what I know in my head. It's like, well, what does the universe know and how willing is it to act on my behalf? And more importantly, how willing am I to let it? And in so doing, things begin to change. And it may be small increments, or it can be sometimes rather large changes all at once. But it's like, it's not this, then that. It's this and that. So, you know, yes, you know, I'm having trouble paying the bills and the universe is still on my side, and I'm going to let it show me what it can do because I've already figured out what I can do, which is not so hot. And it's okay. It's okay if you're not perfect. It's okay if you're not proficient. As an ego, you're not really supposed to be proficient. As an ego, it's supposed to be, I have no idea what I'm doing. I think I'll let a wise, loving soul source presence show me because it really does know. And then as that's demonstrated, it just keeps snowballing from there.
Profound. I would like to, if we can, we've got a lot of folks with their hands raised. I'd like to take some individual questions. Is that okay? And if we could maybe limit it to one or two specific questions that you have, if we get to unmute you all, that would help us kind of move through a few folks. Is that okay, Chokai, to do that?
Surely.
Okay.
Just bear in mind that you may ask us the what, and we're going to tell you the how.
Okay, I love this. I want to take a few that came in on the Q&A that people have been writing in. So please go ahead and send in your questions. And I'm going to go to one that was sent in from Monica L. And Monica L asked us about an hour ago, am I meant to be a shaman? Really great question from Monica L. And Monica, if you're on, let us know if there's any follow-ups to that. Chokai, Monica L, and this question, what would you say?
Well, it's an excellent question. And we would say if you're asking, then probably so. And
I like that.
And more specifically, though, beloved, it's like if that is something that's resonating with you, there's a reason why. And I would also say that the way I would ask the question is, am I going to reestablish myself? Because that's about bringing some past life wisdom, past life experience, and expertise to this current life. Okay. And so we would say absolutely yes. And we would also say, if you haven't already done so, pick whatever book you can find on the practices of shamanism, and maybe they relate because different cultures have different styles, if you will, of shamanism. Find the one that resonates most with you and begin those practices if you haven't already. Because whether you become a full-blown, as they say, bona fide shaman, or just use the practices to access your soul wisdom and your soul history, you're going to be profoundly benefited as a consequence.
Yeah. Wow. So it sounds like that's a yes. I love that. Here's a question coming in from Deb, and this is a very common one. How do I get out of generational poverty? And also, she's asking mean family members. How do we get out of something that feels like it's a generational energy, it's a generational pattern, Chokai?
There are many factors that can be involved there, probably a lot more than we can actually discuss here right now. But short version, when you're talking about generational anything, then you're talking about things that are literally built into the DNA. Okay. And so bringing love, even if you don't know what genetic strands are the ones, because most people wouldn't.
Yes.
As a general rule, unless you were a scientist, then bringing love to your DNA and love in how would we say? Bringing love in a way that is meaningful to you. Now, we're kind of cautious to use the word love because it means different things to different people. When we're talking about love in this context, we mean a frequency that you might more accurately associate with appreciation, okay, or even self-acceptance. So if you think of something that just naturally, spontaneously brings forth a sense of appreciation in your heart, that's what we're talking about. And then you can either visualize your own body DNA, or you can visualize your DNA as a strand that goes back through time, through the generations, okay? And maybe it's a color that's more suitable, and visualizing that color going back through the generational line, okay? Now, this is in a way a general thing, but it's not about trying to control what happens. It's about creating a space for that shift to occur. And that's what happens when you bring love to any aspect of your consciousness that needs to shift. And that would apply literally to anything that you have going on, right? So you said something about mean people, I think. What was the
I think mean family members, dealing with some family dynamics that seem challenging. How would you suggest dealing with that?
Oh, yeah, those are always very, very fun. Questions I would ask in your place is, well, it would be like, okay, So when I'm experiencing this meanness from others, what thoughts and feelings come to mind for me? And there could be a lot of different ones that come up, right? You know, you can correlate that with different beliefs, because the point here is to show you negative, or what some people call adverse beliefs that you have about yourself, so that you can resolve those. And when those beliefs are resolved, then you no longer need that reflection. But that's what it looks like from our perspective, beloved, is that they're pointing out some false or adverse beliefs they have about yourself that are getting activated by the way they're treating you. And when those get identified and resolved, and one of the ways that you can resolve those beliefs, a simple way, there's all kinds. Certainly practices like EFT or EMDR, which are very effective, heavy duty practices. But something simple too is also, it's about bringing love to that part of you that has that belief, because it's about creating an atmosphere in your consciousness for shift to occur. And a lot of times I know the ego likes to control those things, but you don't really have to. When you place it in love, it will begin to shift. And so it's like relaxing into the shift with love. Okay. And so that's what we would encourage. But be mindful of what those thoughts and feelings are that come up, because those can be not only insightful for where you are now, but they can also help you to evolve far, far beyond where you are now.
Thank you for that. We are going to get to some more questions. Keep sending them in. You know, it feels like a beautiful time as we're feeling these energies come in. I think we move into a little bit of a cosmic heart attunement. I believe that's one of the things that perhaps wanted to come through today, Chokai, and start to feel that energy as people begin to really plug into this higher vibration.
Well, we would love to facilitate that. If now is the time, then we will jump right in. Beautiful. All right. For those willing to participate, we certainly welcome you to, for your own sake, just tap into your own beingness for a moment. Just be present in your body. Take a nice, full, slow breath, slow, deep breath. And much like Jaraan started this interaction, just bring your attention to your heart chakra. Breathing into that space. And in this case, envisioning your favorite color. Doesn't matter what color. And the visualization is difficult for you, because it is for some people. How about a sound? What's a favorite sound if you had a tone? Or it could be just simply remembering a favorite piece of music. If you have difficulty with that, then I would encourage you just to cross your arms over your chest and to gently squeeze the cup right below your shoulders. Just breathe. Relax. Within this grand and glorious heart which is the gateway to your soul, your higher self, source, whatever word you like to use. You have an opportunity to welcome more of that divine perfection, not only into your body, but into your life experience. So as you continue to breathe and relax, with your attention on your heart chakra. Imagine that you are standing right within this domain of your heart. See yourself saturated with your favorite color, your favorite sound, or this comforting, gentle hug. Just breathe and relax. Don't have to try to make anything happen. In oneness consciousness, there is no trying, there's no forcing. There's simply allowing love to be. You can do that right here, right now, in this version of reality. And of course, this is an exercise you can repeat anytime and for any duration that suits you. So as you continue to breathe into your heart chakra and relax, think of some circumstance. It could be a physical condition in your body. It could be a relationship. It could be, matters of money or whatever it might be. Education. It could be somewhere in the world that is experiencing strife and struggle. Could be a friend or family member experiencing strife or struggle. And whatever that is, to the best you can, envision that within your heart chakra. Seeing it saturated with your favorite color or your favorite sound, or just being hugged close. Just breathe, relax, and allow that love to be. One of the beautiful things about consciousness, especially when you're playing in polarity, is there's this thing called the law of resonance. And that essentially is said in other ways, you attract to you what you have within you. And as you're tapping into this love presence within you, whether you feel it a little or a lot, you're drawing more of that divine presence, that soul love, into your body, into your being, more technically, into your awareness, and therefore into your life. So notice how your body feels now as you continue to breathe and relax. And as you do so, we're going to amplify the energy for the group to support you. For us, this is merely a gift of loving attention from our heart to yours. And as you are present in your heart, you become more and more and more aware of the cosmic heart that you have access to right here, right now, and anytime you choose. So relax, breathe, and receive. Relax, breathe, and receive as we once again amplify this presence to support you. And take a nice full breath, beloveds, and let it go. Remembering that you are love. At the core of your being, in the heart of your heart, you are love. And that love is available to you anytime and every time you relax into it. Indeed. Thank you, beloveds.
Just amazing. A lot of people writing in, kind of as I've been behind the scenes PMing people. So let us know what you're feeling. A lot of people just kind of plugging in and seeing things fall into place as Chokai shares and we open up some of these energies. It really just, wow, feels like a different world right now. But let us know what you're feeling. Warm, says Odile. Another person looks like Aloha or something like that. Everything that Chokai said, answers Deb, made so much sense. Thank you so much. Odile feeling warm. Let us know what you're feeling as we just keep opening the door here. I do want to get to some more questions. I do want to get to some more of your comments as we move into some higher energy today. What's interesting to me, Chokai, that was awesome, warm and tingly, is that there is a space that comes in where we find all these answers and they've existed for a long time. It's almost like a vibration where they exist. And I feel like part of this opens that in us as well. So we become the gateway, as well as seeking the gateway or seeking the answer, we become the answer. So yeah, tears, tears, says Deb, and I never react, I guess, to these activations. Tell me about becoming the vibration as well as seeking it, perhaps.
Say again, beloved.
I said, it seems like we become the vibration as much as we seek it when you open up some of these gateways, the answer is us as well as we're seeking the answer. Tell us a little bit about maybe that possibility for people today.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, beloved, because, the polarity-based concept or way of thinking of things, it's like, here I am, and there's that out there. Whatever I'm wanting that I don't have is out there somewhere. But the thing about it is there's no out there out there.
Yes.
I mean, there's literally no out there out there. If you saw it from my perspective, it would blow you away. But anyway, it's still, that's how it looks from a 3D polarity-based perspective, right? But whenever you're tapping into that vibrational state or a presence state, we're talking about 5D and above love presence state. That's a presence, not so much a vibration from our point of view. But those vibrations, everything is vibration and energy in this version of reality, right? And so whenever you're seeking it, it's interesting because when human beings are here seeking something, you're aspiring to something, you want to create something, you want to build something, whatever that might be, the fact is that there is a part of you at your soul level that's saying, hey, here's your next option, right? And it's carrying with it the seed. Your aspiration is actually the seed of its own fulfillment, which is basically just restating what you just said about the vibration, right? And so if you acknowledge that just as a possibility, you don't even have to believe it necessarily, let it be an experiment. It's like, here I am vibing with this, or I'm aspiring to experience that. Well, that aspiration is actually coming up so that I can experience it. It exists for me, within me already.
Yes.
And
yes.
I have the opportunity to become more aware of it. And growing awareness is really the key to it all.
I love that. Lots of things coming in. Let me share a few more things as we tap in. And SomRa, I want to connect with you because we're going to be talking about mastering the oneness mindset. And those words were very deliberately chosen. I want to talk a little more about what mastering the oneness mindset means. Heather wrote in and said, thank you, Jaraan, Chokai, and Darius and SomRa. I felt and still feel heat at the top of my head with warmth flowing over my forehead as well as my hands. I also got very hot, my arms tingling. I felt relaxed, hopeful, joyful. Heather, during the process, also felt a gentle fluttering energy in my heart. So yeah, another person appreciating the unity. Yeah, there is a lot of unification energy, not just among us as beings, but also within ourselves. That's the one thing I also noticed, was that there's a tremendous amount of unification energy that happens within us. And SomRa, is that part of mastering the oneness state, or mastering oneness to you?
Unification?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. The coming into polarity automatically divides us into parts. I mean, just the idea of feeling separate and disconnected. It's like we already feel like we're at a deficit, and we already feel scattered. And then we're brought up in environments where other people already are too. And we're looking to them, or we're wired to look to them for, how do I live? How do I be?
Yes.
And they're already dysfunctional. And so it's like it just keeps perpetuating the pattern. So you've got to look beyond that whole framework and to, how would oneness see this? For instance, when we're talking about oneness, a lot of people talk about love as a feeling in this plane, in polarity, and they say, well, the opposite of love is fear, or the opposite of love is hate, or something like that. We're talking about oneness. In oneness, there are no opposites. Oneness is oneness. And so what we teach from where we're coming from is there's states of being. In those states of being, when you're in a oneness consciousness, you embody and embrace it all. There's not a mindset of there's a right and a wrong. Those concepts not only are embedded in society, but also it's built into that survival mechanism in our nervous system and our brain. Because, to survive in the wild, we need to know what berries to eat and what not to eat. There might be poisonous, or the whole thing about, don't touch a hot burner. Okay? It's one thing to understand that the reason why, and you can't necessarily explain that to a child, but it only takes once for a child to know, usually. But the idea is it's not wrong to touch the burner. It's just not beneficial, or as actually can be harmful to you. But that's not wrong in a judgment way. But the psyche starts taking everything in and putting it in that context of right or wrong, right or wrong, right or wrong. I need to be right. I need to do the right thing. What is the right thing? That's very, very polaric. In a oneness understanding is there's no right or wrong. I have options. What options most benefit me? And it's a relaxed state of being, right? It's not this fearful, don't want to do the wrong thing. And it's not so easy to step out of that framework of thinking. We have to evolve out of it because it's so automatic, right?
Yes.
And so a lot of what we share, Masters share, is about helping people through that evolution as quickly and easily as possible. And it does require recognizing when you're doing it. To master the oneness mindset is first recognizing where you're not in the oneness mindset. And judgment is definitely one of those things. Fear of right and wrong and belief in that is one of those things, good and bad. That's still very polaric.
Yes.
Make sense?
It does. It does. And, a lot of people are feeling this state, and it feels very, very palpable. It feels very different. Even than when we came on, we changed the field. Heather says, when SomRa presented the tones, I felt a loving and strong energy going up and down my spine. And, we love those tones, SomRa. It's amazing. I want to share a little more about something that you wanted to bring forward for people who really want to take the 5D leap and beyond, and it's mastering the oneness mindset. There's going to be some very special opportunities for some training, for some support, for some really, really unique shifts in your life. And if you feel more expanded, if you feel more unified, we're going to be talking about this. And I want to share where it is. It's at uwealthrevolution.com/SomRa, SOMRA 28. And I want to share what mastering the oneness mindset, mastering the oneness consciousness really is, and what SomRa and Jaraan, Chokai, and whatever other energies want to come in through this experience that could come in. We're going to help you master this oneness consciousness with ET, Ascended Masters, and Angels. And really quick, I want to walk through what's here because this is a really special opportunity. Anything you both want to share just generally about what you chose to bring forward as a potential, as a teaching quantum leap forward and a learning quantum leap forward for people in this program. And then we're going to walk through some of the interesting things happening here.
Actually, he just slipped out a second ago. We can get him back though if need be.
Hey, Jaraan.
Yeah, I thought you looked different. Okay, cool. All right, yeah. So I'll go into it because Jaraan might have a little input too. All right, so yeah, and if you just want to scroll along, Darius. So we put together some really wonderful things, some that we haven't ever presented. We made just for you. Well, we're so excited to come on here and share this stuff with you guys. And one of them, or a couple of things really, we have 3 packages there you can see. And in package A is
get to A here.
Yeah. We so first we've got Restore Your Spiritual Foundation for Effective Evolution, a Savvy Soul Mastery Discourse. So that's what we call our dialogue, Savvy Soul Mastery Discourses. I'm usually interviewing the master and also giving my input, and we're talking about specific teachings. So one thing that's always bugged me about this world is kind of like we're thrown in, right? It's like being thrown in the water and it's like figure it out, but that's part of the game. Okay, we eventually find our way to a path. But, if you go into a mystery school, just like you go into regular grade school, there's great kindergarten, there's, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, and so on. And you build a foundation. But when it comes to spirituality, it's like this hodgepodge out there, right? And people are often scrambling and there's different views and things like that can be confusing. So if you scroll back up, or no, that's it right there. Yeah. Chokai and I created this video, Restore Your Spiritual Foundation for Effective Evolution. So if your foundation's not solid and clear and right, so to speak, not in terms of the right and wrong, but most effective, well, then you can't be as effective in your spiritual awakening as well as your life. And to us, it's integral. Your life is integral. It's not separate from your spiritual path. And actually, your life is the initiation. You go into a mystery school and you go through these teachings and you go through initiations. But what a lot of people don't realize is every moment of your life is an initiation, is a part of it. And it's not a test. But it is what choice are you going to make? Opportunity. Right. And whatever choice you make determines what's next in your unfoldment. But it's not the action as much as the attitude and the energy from which you're taking the action. And that's what's often overlooked. And so people are trying to figure out the right thing to do, so to speak, or most effective thing to do. But first it's like reel it back in. What's the most effective state of being to do my actions?
doing, it's like what state of being. And I love this because this really, it sounds like sets the guide, sets the framework for this process. And from there, we then move into embracing mastery. Now, this is this is amazing. You're gonna help people learn to think like an ascended master. Now, tell us about this, because I've never don't think I've had anyone help us ever think like an ascended master. Why would we want to do that? I can think of many reasons why, but tell us about this.
Well, people are trying to evolve to 5D as if it's a place. And
Yeah.
like we were talking about earlier, it's not, it's a state of being. All the
Yeah.
dimensions are right here, right now. And it's about continually expanding awareness more and more of yourself that is already in 5D, that is already a oneness being. That's who you really are. So
Right.
we're all about connecting you with who you really are, connecting you, your current identity, which is actually more the ego, right? The ego personality, and
Yes.
attuning and aligning it with your real soul self. So a master is, and a person aspiring to mastery, is thinking along those lines. Is most humans think they think it's thinking, but it's not. They think they have their own thoughts, but they're not really. It's more associative thinking. Like you say blue, and my mind starts thinking sky and my favorite blue
Yes.
shirt and all of that. That's not thinking. That's
Yes.
is called like monkey mind, right? You're swinging from vine to vine to vine. So a
Yes.
master is contemplative. It contemplates, and not so
Ah,
much intellectually, but it's like, what does this mean to me that's happening right
yes.
now? We were recently in the hurricane, which we've talked about, and that's a whole story unto itself, but it brought up a lot of different things, a lot of different emotions, right? A lot of different
Yes.
conflicting emotions. And the devastation that occurred. So in order to, it's like that's part of an initiation, we had to go through, okay, here's the next step and all those different layers. And so I'm looking at what's happening is not bad or wrong or terrible. Yeah, you have those emotions, but we also teach how to move through those emotions. Emotions are not bad. Emotions are integral to your being. And
Yes.
so a master does not judge emotions. A master embraces emotions and allows them to flow. For instance, there's no thoughts or feelings to push aside or cancel out. That's actually contradictory and keeps you in polarity. It's helpful in the beginning to recognize
Right.
negative thoughts and go, oh, no, that's not what I want to believe. But there's evolution beyond that where you actually come to embrace it. You come to understand that thought came from somewhere. Why would my consciousness bring that thought up? And you begin
Right.
to follow that trail and it leads you to what's unconscious. Like I was talking about, that's where your key is.
And everyone see the distinction there between having a negative thought and then saying, oh gosh, I messed up. Law of attraction doesn't work for me. I'm going to attract something bad, versus being aware and contemplating, okay, what does that mean for me? Or where did that come from? Or what is the meaning or significance of that? And I do want to say that Jaraan and SomRa were actually in when the hurricanes came through
Yeah.
and put all of this together, and they did not miss a beat. So they are really demonstrative of holding this consciousness in an ever-changing and sometimes unpredictable world. So if any of you are going through unpredictable times, they are incredible teachers to navigate this, because they had to do it actually putting this offering together for everyone here. And I think there's a reason for all of that we're unpacking. I want to share really quick. There are going to be people that say, I want some personal time. I want some personal help. And I'm going to jump really quick to package C, because we've got something really special as well. And we've got 35-minute personal sound attunement activation that's going to be happening with SomRa. So if I could, I want to jump down really quick, because one of the things our audience loves, and this is just a amazing package. You're going to see tremendous bits here, carefully thought out, lots of live help, Q&As, incredible stories everywhere. But for those of you that are saying, I really would love to connect with SomRa. I really would love to get some help, to be heard, to be listened to, I just want to jump and address those people first. It's at uwealthrevolution.com/SomRa, SOMRA 28. There is amazing work with some group calls with both SomRa and Jaraan. But SomRa, for those people, we've got 25 spaces here. I know you agreed to rapidly help people master this oneness consciousness. Tell me what's going to happen here, because I know we talked about this. There's kind of like two parts, right? You've got a attunement, and then you've got some other things happening as well. Anything you want to share about this? It's very exciting.
Yeah, well, in the packages, the other packages you'll see, because each package builds, so it includes everything.
Yes.
As well as this next level, next tier. And so I have one of my sound events recording an 11/11 event that I did. And folks will get to really hear and process and move through what that's about. So when I've channeled sound's very different than just toning. Channeled sound and bringing through actual beings who are making the sounds, as well as direct cosmic energies and languages of light and that sort of thing. And in a personal attunement, it's like a group attunement, but it's very much tailored to the person. So the person comes with some intentions, let's say, and keep it simple. We don't want to get into a whole bunch of details. It's more like, you've been feeling depressed. You want to feel joy. You want to feel more joy in life. Okay. Maybe you are a creative person, but you've got a creative block and you want to break through that creative block. That would be a great intention to bring. Of course, connecting with my higher power, that sort of things, those are all wonderful, because that's the core of it. It's a personal channeled sound. Attunement is about attuning you to your soul self more fully. And it's totally sound. We just talk a little bit for a few minutes. You give me your intentions. Then we do the sound and you just relax and receive. Wow. And allow the shifts to occur. Now, we don't have time to go into all the cool things that sound does, but one of the great things is sound bypasses a lot of those blocks in the unconscious, as well as helps vibrate them. They're like dark crystals actually in the field, and vibrates them, and they dissolve. Okay. And also we're doing alignments, we're doing chakra attunements. In this particular session, I'm also including a DNA code activation. That sort of goes along with it anyway, but I'm going to be doing a specific type of addressing the DNA that the ET Ascended Masters taught me I was initiated into, where you're aligning the 12 strands. It's what we call reconstituting the 12 strands of DNA. And you're not going to come out of this attunement and suddenly have all 12 strands. Don't think that way. We're progressing you. We're moving things along. We're getting things out of the way, because our DNA wants to coagulate. It wants to reconstitute. It's our nature. It's just we're being bombarded by all kinds of things that are contrary to that and disrupt that.
Amazing. So this has two parts. The reason I jumped to this is I know a lot of people are going to love everything on the page. There's so many that want that personal help, that personal sound attunement and DNA code activation. So there's two parts to this. There's a very special opportunity to get this one-on-one time with SomRa. You're going to get 35 minutes and then a full recording, which is actually edited for optimal sound quality so that you can use it again and again. Anything you want to share about that, SomRa? Because you take the time not only to do this session, but then edit it and turn it into a reusable experience, a reusable attunement activator, and much more.
Yeah, I do that as quickly as possible after the session. So could we have like so sometimes wisdom will come through. So, I might share some insights, some intuitive insights at the beginning or the end. I don't usually interpret the sound experience, but sometimes I might say, hey, when those particular sounds were happening here, that's what the masters were doing, and we were aligning your grid work or something like that. But a lot of times I just like to let people stay in that state. And so, but that's the full recording in case there's any information or anything that they want to hear again. And then the edited version, I spend time clearing out all the blips and bleeps and pops that don't need to be there, improve the sound quality, stabilize it, all that kind of sound editing stuff. And then you get a link. I send you a link and you can download that, and you will have it to use again and again. So you don't have to fast forward through our talking. right? And I actually mention, I lead you through a meditation as a part of the activation, and we mention your intentions right there so you know. And it's not a one-time deal forever. It's like we are focusing on that specific arena. It's not like you can't get this another attunement, it'll be different. But whatever those intentions are, you can use it as long as you want, over and over, so it's a quality recording. And it's for ease of use.
I love that. That's just gorgeous. And it's personal. It's going to be you and SomRa and these energetics. And people have absolutely not wanted it to end. It was so beautiful. I didn't want it to stop. It says GH, this was the most incredible session I've ever experienced because something was so magical. This is going to be helping me more than anything because it's so personal. So yeah, all sorts of stories, dissipates negative blocks, an enormous aid in my journey towards wholeness, and much more. Deep inner transformation supported my intention to be more conscious, aware, and at peace. Yes, as SomRa said, if you decide you want to go deeper at uwalsrevolution.com/SomRa28 and jump to package C, that's where you're going to be able to get 25 spots only for this personal help, but you're going to get everything on the page, which I do want to cover in just a moment. But I want to make note, there's another piece in this, which I'm really excited about all of it. I just wanted to bring this to attention because I was afraid we might get so close to time people miss it. You're going to be doing something pretty cool, 30 days of remote energy work. And there's a very special prayer bowl that's also included in this. Tell us about this. And then we are going to talk about some of the live events and the beautiful things happening that look like they're going to be taking place in January and some of the other months as we move into 2025. I can't believe it. But what is this? Why was this important to add? Tell us about this.
Well, we wanted a way to be able to support people energetically, that doesn't involve a whole lot of time, or you don't have to take any time out of your day to receive this. And so that's an actual picture of the real bowl. We have a real physical bowl with colored slips of paper, and we have everybody's name on it, And so what you do, if you get this package, you will be included in the bowl. And Jaraan and I literally channel the masters and the soul present, or the divine presence through us for each person in the bowl to support their intentions. So once you purchase this package, you get your journal out or whatever, you write down your intentions of what you want support with. And you can change it throughout the month as well, because we don't need to know what those intentions are. You do. And because the power's in you, we're just amplifying it for you. We're helping accelerate whatever you want, whether it's healing a particular something that you have going on, or healing a relationship or a job change or whatever, manifesting. Put that in on your intentions list, and we support you in that. And that's 3 times a week, usually Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, that we spend doing that.
I love that. Yeah. So you're going to put their name in the bowl, and the higher energy is going to support them. And then they are going to write down the intentions in their journal, and they can change these up as they begin to manifest and come to fruition. I love it. This is part of the package C, which I think is truly special. I want to jump to some other things that are happening. Let me go to package A because we didn't finish that. I want to make note as well. Lots of stories and lots of things happening, because there are also going to be some live classes in package B if you want to join that. But really quick, we talked a little bit about some of the amazing work that you're doing with the moving forward into this oneness state and finding out some of the deeper meanings of things. I don't think we got to item 3, which is your deeper light awaits, understanding the role of trauma. Now, a lot of people are kind of moving through situations and they want to move beyond them. What does trauma play in our spiritual process, and why was it important to have this dialogue, this liberating understanding and energy about trauma? And this is from another ET Ascended Master, Chokai, which I don't know if we've connected to. So tell us a little bit about that, because it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, Chokai is one of the few female Ascended Masters that Jaraan channels. And all their energies are wonderful. I love them all. Hers is just wonderfully smooth. And she was perfect for this because she had just one human lifetime. She actually moved forward in time. She ascended from the Pleiades, but before her ascension and part of that completion, she moved forward in time. This was many, many thousands of years ago, but moved to and had an incarnation during the medieval period on Earth. And she tells that story on the video, and in a very unpleasant lifetime, and where she did experience trauma and sexual abuse actually in that life. And it talks about in the video about what she gained from that, and starting to understand these things don't just happen. It's not just, stuff happens and you have to heal it, and we're just trying to get to ascension as fast as possible. It's integral to the path. And we get into heavy, not heavy as much as, but difficult subjects like, does the soul choose trauma? Does the soul choose, these difficult things? And if so, in what way? Which it's not exactly the way people think. So we elaborate on that and bring understanding to this topic, because Jaraan and I feel it's not talked about enough in spiritual circles. It's very much misunderstood. And the ideas of negative emotions are going to create bad things if you let yourself feel it, and negative thoughts, it's really holding people back. Starseeds, light workers, it's really holding you back. You need to love those parts of you and understand them. So we bring greater understanding to this, and how it's not something to fear, it's something to embrace, and you will actually become empowered through it. And that's the point. That's the point.
Yes, I love that. That's item 3 in package A. We could do a whole series on that, or just a whole day on that, and you've done it. So very amazing. And then you're including some bonuses. Now, this is pretty fun. You've got some daily reality reminders to awaken from the illusion. So tell us how this works, because ultimately, there is a illusion, a hypnosis, as I've said in the past, that we're kind of always in, and it's awakening from that illusion is to where we really begin to realize what we are. Tell us about this.
Yeah. So like it says here in the description, so often people meditate and they have these wonderful, yummy feelings, maybe more peaceful, and then they start their day and then they forget all about it. They don't feel connected anymore. And then you do your day, and then, you're tired at the end of the day. Maybe you meditate at the end of the day, and it's just like as if those great feelings can only happen then. And the point is for those feelings and those awarenesses to be integrated in everything you do. While you're doing the dishes, while you're doing the laundry, while you're driving, it's not separate from your spirituality. It's meant to be all one, and you're living your spirit self through those things. Nothing is out of the realm of your soul, your spirit. And so I knew I wanted something like that. I'm like, gosh, I wish I had a recording of like affirmative statements. And they're not affirmations like in the way you would think. They're reminders of what you already know in your being, in your heart and soul. That, the divine is in everything. And so you can be doing your laundry while this is playing. I originally released this as just the 13-minute version with the introduction. And the feedback was the introduction was long because I explained how to use it, ways you can use it. And then it's just one series of these statements. Well, I made an extended version here for you, Wealth Revolution. So it actually repeats 4 times. It loops 4 times. So it's 44 minutes because people were saying, I'd love it to be longer. And you're just going about your day, and this is playing, and you can sometimes it'll catch you like a statement will be like, whoa, like you're suddenly starting to see through the illusion, the hologram. And that's the idea, and to where you're living it. And like you're at the gym, you're playing this, and it's like, whoa, suddenly you see everybody as light beings working out, like that.
Yeah, and what you set out with this special program when you talked, all about mastering oneness consciousness. So when we think about this, everyone, as you're kind of following along, this is about mastering this oneness consciousness. And these are the viewpoints, the energetics, the ways that the ascended masters are seeing our reality. So we're talking about a quantum leap forward in how you perceive your reality. So it's truly amazing. It's at uwealthrevolution.com/SomRa28. Although both of them are supporting and in some of these classes, we just had to choose one person's name for the page to keep it simple. But it's SomRa28. I love this. This is a guide to emerging gracefully. Now, Jaraan, this is from an ascended master, Orin. Is that correct?
Yes, Orin.
Arin, okay. Tell us about this. I mean, this is, so exciting to see how these different beings come in and what they teach. And I love it because each one feels a little different. Now, what is being taught here and why did you want to include this?
Yeah, well, first of all, one of the things I love about Oren is he's like really on point. He's kind of, I was sort of thinking him as like the, no, I don't know what I should say. There's not like the really on purpose soldier kind of
Yeah.
bastard. It's like, we're on point. Here's the information. We're going to get it done. And he just makes point after point after point after point. It's like,
Wow.
when this started coming through, I was like, oh my God. And that's just this paragraph. The next paragraph, it's like, oh my God. And it just kept going like that. And the point of it, of course, is really, whenever you're uh, getting into this whole awakening thing, it's like there's certain things that are like indispensable. You just got to know if you're going to go there, if you're going to get there, right?
Right.
And it's like what SomRa was talking about, like the foundation. And these are like really foundational things, but they're really powerful things that if you apply them, you're going to be shifting your consciousness. You're really aligning
Wow.
with. I like to think of it. It's like we think of, instead of it being a get from there to here. The masters one time years ago actually did this demonstration on the floor where they pulled out a piece of string and
Mm.
laid it on the floor and then just put their finger in the middle and, well, I guess it was my finger, but anyway, I put their finger in the middle and pushed it until the two ends came together. And so it's like, it's understanding that that's how evolution, that's how oneness works. That's how connection works. It's not about having to travel a long distance. It's about,
Oh,
you start moving the same direction and then it comes together. And so, but Oren just makes so many really great, succinct points that point out these specific things that if you're going to make that leap, you really need to know. You need to be able to embody and understand these concepts. And yeah, it's amazing. And that's the way he writes. And of course, he coded this to help
mm.
it integrate so that you can carry it with you. It soaks in. And
Wow. So people just read this and it's encoding, it's getting in there. It's like the mission critical of oneness consciousness. I love it. I love it. Mastering oneness. This is what we're doing. Just amazing. And then a channel sound activation. So I believe this is with you, SomRa, and the Trigalian Sound Masters. Now, this is video and audio. It's over an hour for the video. This is the Unification 1111, which, wow, tell us about this.
Yeah, of course, I love sacred numbers. I'm a sacred geometry artist and all of that kind of stuff. So, and lots of us in spiritual circles, we love those 11:11. So I try to do sound events on those key gateway times, and that was one of them. And 11:11:22. I like to give the video because there's a great introduction on how to receive the experience if you're new to this. So you need to see that first. And then the audio is, your eyes are going to be closed most of the time during the experience. The audio is just like in the personal session. I make an edited separate version. That's what that is. It's just the meditation and the sound. So you don't have to fast forward through stuff. You can just go right to it and use it again and again to help clear your chakras, break through barriers, connect with your soul family, your galactic family, unlock DNA codes, just all kinds of cool stuff like that. Yeah.
Wow. And people writing in euphoria from channeled sound recordings. I'm much less fearful. All sorts of things happening. Then you've got answers that lighten your life, teachings from the ET Ascended Masters and Angels, channeled by Jaraan. More amazing teachings. And wow, lots of interesting stories. And then inner stability and emotional balance. Anything, Jaraan, you want to say about this? And then the emotional balance and the stability, of course, super important in these times of change. But anything you want to share about this piece, bonus number 4?
Yeah, I really love this ebook because what we did is asked several of our regular, most into it students. It's like, if you were going to ask the masters one question, what would you ask? And these were their questions. And so each one brought in a response. And I love, because there's a variety of things that would be of interest to pretty much anybody. Yeah,
Business success. That's an interesting one. I mean,
yeah,
who would think? I'm wondering about, and then someone said in less than 5 minutes, the money came in. As they got to page 16, yeah. Chokai, how to discern spiritual. Wow. Wow. Sexuality, making spiritually inspired decisions. Yeah. Sorry to jump in, but that's exciting.
yeah. No, please do.
Yeah.
It's so meaningful, and these are shorter, so you can like. Most of them are like a couple of pages or 3 pages, something like
Yeah.
that. So if you don't have a lot of time to read, you can say, "Oh, just which one of these," and pick one, and and just absorb that.
Love it. I love it. Well, everyone, stick around. We're going to get to maybe one or two questions if you want to type them in. I know we've had a lot of questions come in. I want to talk a little bit more about this package. Of course, it's all here. And this one I'd like you to look at. It's inner stability, emotional balance, 3 MP3s. It's over an hour and 35 minutes. And it's going to be all about activations plus some information. Very powerful. But I do want to cover some of the live classes because I know folks are definitely going to be excited about that. It's an opportunity to have both of you in some live classes. So I want to jump to package B. You'll get everything in A, plus you can add on these very special dates, January 9th, 23rd, February 6th, and 20th, some live classes that are the 5D Oneness Way mastery courses, full question and answer. And I don't want to be able to, I don't want to skip over these because they are pretty profound. Anything I want to share about these, because this is really, I think, a treat. It's going to be, I believe, both of you on here, and it's going to be an opportunity for some real acceleration.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much. Well, with each one of these topics, the the masters, whichever one comes in, because it'll be different ones for different groups. They come in, they bring in a teaching that's specific to the audience that's gathered, and
Okay.
it doesn't mean other people can't benefit from it as well, but it's focused on that. And then what they generally do is they'll have that teaching, and then they'll invite questions from the audience. So, especially about what they've taught. That way, if something needs to be clarified, they can do it right there on the spot. If you need to go a little deeper or take it in a slightly different direction, you can do that right there on the spot. And so it's not like if you read a book and you go, I wonder what he meant by that. Like, well, you can just ask, what do you mean by that? And
That's right.
one of the things is, especially the way the masters like to teach, is they may share things that are specifically intended to provoke questions so that you will go deeper, so that you can get a deeper understanding, because that's the point. It's not just about getting a question answered, it's about understanding how your consciousness works through that interaction. And that's something that builds your mastery and that you carry with you from now on. So, and each one of them will be like that, but it's just all specific to the topics will be specific to that particular event.
Yeah. So module 1 is all about mastering abundance and prosperity, the 5D Oneness Way, plus question and answer and facilitation. So that's a key topic these days. Then module 2, mastering health and well-being, the 5D Oneness Way. I mean, I'm already curious about that. It's going to be fascinating to see what the masters say about that. And then mastering expression of purpose, work, life, job, the 5D Oneness Way, which a lot of people feel like I've got to leave my job. I don't know what to do. I don't know what my path is. And then the fourth one is embodying your 5D self, channeled sound activation meditation with SomRa and the Trigalian Sound Masters, plus your full question and answer facilitation. So these are going to be huge. And we've got just tons of stories and comments from these events. My goodness, deep relaxation, waves of energy moving from the top and bottom out of my body. My whole body is humming. I went on a deep journey. I connected to my soul family. Wow, this is consciousness one is going for. This is the conscious one is going for, the timelessness of it all. Lots here. I love the live classes. I love the topics. And there's a bonus, how ego and soul cooperate to advance evolution. Now, this I wanted to talk about, SomRa and Jaraan, because a lot of people are constantly in this battle between ego and higher self, soul, higher body awareness. And here you're saying, or the guides were saying, the masters, that no, there's a cooperation. very key piece that I don't know if we've ever talked about here at UWealth in 14 years. A very big piece. Tell us about this.
I can talk some, Jaraan.
Yeah.
Uh, so I did the final edit of this book. This was actually from an audio interview I did with Oren several years ago, and the guides told us pull that forward. The sound quality wasn't good enough to use, but we made it into a book, an ebook. And going through it, I was blown away because it had been years since I listened to the recording, because so much of what Jaraan and I have evolved through, including discovering and healing our own personal traumas, he mentions that in the book. But back then, we didn't know what we know now, so we could understand it on such a deeper level. It's like, wow, Oren was spelling it out back then before we even knew, and so much more. And so a big misconception in spiritual circles a lot of times is that the ego is a problem and we got to get rid of the ego. Yeah. And that's not the case. From our vantage point, the ET Ascended Masters teach that the ego is just a mechanism. It's just a mechanism of consciousness. It has to be here in order for us to interface. And part of that is survival, to make sure the body doesn't kill itself out of ignorance, and out of unawareness. It has to be there. But it just goes awry. It goes haywire in a psychological world, whereas it was designed to survive in a natural, like nature world. There's lions and tigers and bears, oh my, that kind of thing.
That's right.
But now it's psychological confusion. And when you go through something, there are big T traumas, little T traumas. Little T is like, mom's disappointed at you because you got a bad grade. Or then there's you're severely grounded because of that. There's, of course, abuse. There's death in the family. There's all kinds of things. These are traumas that don't get processed through fully to a healing. And you're healed when you can think of that event and you feel neutral and you've gained wisdom from it. It's like, oh, I understand this, that, or the other thing more deeply now, or it took me deeper into my heart. And you're richer as a result of it. If you're not experiencing that, then you haven't fully resolved. And so he doesn't go deep into that in this book, but he does specify those things in that role of trauma and how it's the beliefs that come out of those events. And they're day after day, moment after moment. Every day of our childhood is when all of these things get set in place. That they create crosswires and distortions and misunderstandings, like beliefs of I'm not okay, I'm unworthy of love. We know all of these beliefs, right? But how do you change them? Well, we're all about helping you get to those spaces. We're all about the how. You can't just let it go. It's embedded in your consciousness. There are steps. There's a process to go through. And sometimes it's fast, sometimes it's slow. But what Oren lays out in this book is a very clear understanding of what is the ego and what is the ego's relationship to the soul. And you begin to realize, I'm the ego. I, the human, am the ego. People talk about the ego as something over there. Well, I know this, but my ego says blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, but you're still operating as if that's true. You're the ego, the personality. And your job is to get aligned with and attuned to your soul self that knows the whole plan, that knows the whole picture, the whole purpose, and where you're going and what soul is aiming for through your human experiences. And as you attune to and align with that, in harmony with that, you're going to be way more effective. You're going to accelerate your awakening, evolution, and ascension.
Absolutely. I love those distinctions. They are higher dimensional distinctions that I think a lot of times are missed in the journey. And that's what I would expect from mastering oneness consciousness and the messages from the ET Ascended Masters and Angels. So this is absolutely enormous. It is just a massive opportunity. And you can do this anywhere in the world. As you can see, you get some of this immediately. Some of it's going to be live classes. Some of it's going to be one-on-one time with SomRa and your own personal edited recording that is absolutely specific to you and to your journey and to your DNA activation processes. So it is absolutely going to give you a copy in package C of everything that happens on that session. And it's here. So if you're feeling stuck, blocked, or maybe lost on your spiritual journey, Package A is just 127, discounted from a total value of 465. Package B is only 227, includes the 4 live classes plus everything in A. Package C will get you this amazing one-on-one time plus a lot more, the prayer bowl and everything else. It's just 397, a total value of 1268, and we've got only, I believe, 25 of those. So it's all here. Plus, we have payment plans. A couple questions I wanted to ask really quick. First, this seems to be coming in. Who is this for? Is this for me? What would be some signs, some signposts, some urgings maybe that people could be feeling if something like this is for them? It's not just about like one and done and let's kind of like fix. This is a massive step into a oneness consciousness. It's a life-changing opportunity in many respects because it is so thorough and encompassing as I feel into it and as I've gone into it. But who's it for?
Anything that, if you're feeling out of alignment in your life, if you're not feeling like you're living the life that's fulfilling for you, if you feel like there's been something missing in your spiritual journey and you're tired of the hard way, you're tired of the hard way, you want to know the smoother way, the swifter way. That's what we're all about. As Chokai talks about in that first video, Restore Your Foundational Core, he calls it or your foundation, spiritual foundation. The lazy man's guide to evolution, or ascension. And that's really true in a lot of ways. We're backwards. This world is backwards. It validates difficulty versus ease. And the ET Ascended Masters are all about ease and effectiveness, accomplishing the most with the less effort. And we celebrate that. We don't think, oh, that person's slacking. It's like, no, that's the way the universe is designed. It's meant to be easy.
I mean, that's a sign. I mean, I was kind of like, what are signs you're not working in oneness consciousness? Like if it's super hard, that would be like a sign then, right? Because they don't.
Yeah. And also, a lot of people are coming to a place where maybe their spiritual practices aren't working for them anymore, aren't getting them the sensations and the awareness that they're wanting. They're ready for something new. And this may be the thing they've been looking for. I know when I met the ET Ascended Masters through Jaraan, like I said, I'm home. Oh my goodness. Because nothing from this world really worked for me. Bits and pieces, so be it. Yeah, they were great. But this was like, yes, I know I'm an ET. I resonate, and I know many of you listening, you're from somewhere else, right?
What are some signs of that? I wish I started with that question because it's something I'll definitely ask because there are a lot of us here. Is there a percentage of people that are kind of like have more of an easy origin, and what are some signs? Do y'all have any information on that?
We're told that the vast majority of humans now are actually extraterrestrials incarnated. It used to be flipped, and more of us started incarnating or walking in. Right. And we're bringing in higher awareness, higher technologies, ways that are effective that just haven't been available to the earth. Every single one of you on this call embodies something special, something unique. Yeah. And it's just needing light shed on it. It's needing the things out of the way so it can shine. And those awarenesses, those technologies are what this world needs. And so if you have that feeling inside you, you're right. You're onto something.
I love Jaraan? It. Gail says, definitely a starseed, says Gail. So yeah, I love that. And
yeah.
I am a braid from the Cirrus system, says Christiella. So yeah, I mean, this is enormous. If this resonates or you just feel like things made sense today, you felt peace today, you kind of felt alignment today, you felt the lack of struggle energy in your field, you just felt like, this all makes sense. And then this absolutely may be something to align to. And I love you're doing live events coming in 2025. Maybe we're in 2025 when you see this, but key thing is you're looking at these earthly things like abundance, health, job, life purpose, integration through the master's way, so you can live your highest potential through this 3D plane in the Mastering Oneness 5D plane and bring that into your lives. Just amazing stuff. Jaraan, anything you want to share? I know we're going a little long. I want to kind of send people off in love, but I'll let both of you just kind of share any final thoughts or wisdom or love messages as we send people off in a beautiful vibe today and a beautiful space of possibility.
Yeah, Darius, thank you so much. And thank you for your excellent facilitation of this. Wow. That's just great. And I didn't get to see all the comments, but I saw some of it. I'm so delighted that people had such positive experiences. It was such a delight to be able to channel for y'all and be a part of this really awesome experience. And so I really appreciate the opportunity to be here and to connect with you all, and more power to you.
Absolutely. SomRa, anything you want to share as we send people off here in love and big possibilities?
I guess that one of those special things that gets overlooked is that everybody matters. Everybody, you matter. You are valid. And it's our thrill, it's our joy, like I was saying before, to help shed light on that and light that up for you. You know, I don't know about you, but I want to live in a world of masters. And I want to live in a world of awakened beings. And so this is my joy in helping facilitate that. And your success is our success, and we all get to expand through that experience. And we'll be laughing our way to 5D and beyond. Enjoy.
I love that. And you know what I really got from both of y'all, and also from the Ascended ET Master that came in, Chokai, was just the lightness, the joy, the flow, and the ease. And I think that's a great message as to where we're operating from. So everyone just make that note. And I thank both of you today. This was amazing and just a beautiful experience. I thank you for putting all of this together for our community and for humanity. It's really an amazing undertaking. Just amazing stuff. Check it out at uwealthrevolution.com/SomRa, SomRa 28. And SomRa and Jaraan, I'll let y'all just say a quick goodbye. So you're the last ones people see. They don't want to see me. They want to see you. We'll see all of y'all soon. I love you. I appreciate you. You are amazing. SomRa and Jaraan, I'll let y'all say goodbye.
Thank you all so much for being here. Much, much love to you.
Yeah, thank you all so much. What a treat. What a treat. Thank you all so much. I look forward to interactions in the future, perhaps.